What about the individuals? Other than the two references in Malachi and Romans, we are told only once more that God loved Jacob, Psalm 47, verse 4, and never again that he hated Esau. Moreover, loved and hated are comparative terms, as when Christ says we must hate father and mother in comparison to our love for him. Matthew chapter 10, verses 37 and 38, and in Luke chapter 14, verse 26, and have nothing to do with salvation. As Foster and Marston point out, Malachi chapter 1, verse 2 does not mean that in a literal hatred of Esau and his descendants, God has condemned every one of them to hell. It has reference simply to the higher position of the Hebrew race in the strategy of God. In the original to which Paul is referring, Esau is simply a synonym for Edom, clearly from the context, Malachi chapter 1, verses 2 to 5. God's choice of Israel could not be a result of her merit or works. Paul's introduction of the quotation from Malachi chapter 1, verse 2 is therefore of particular relevance here, and he uses it as he develops his theme. Calvinists emphasize the statement, "For the children, being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth." However, this statement is simply further proof that election is determined by foreknowledge. No one merits God's blessing, which is all of his grace. It is given to those who he foreknows will receive it. Before these men were born, God knew that Jacob would turn to him, that Esau would despise his birthright, and that his descendants would be the enemies of Israel. On that basis, he hated Esau, Edom. If this were not the case, we would have God hating for no reason at all, which is contrary to all that the Bible tells us of the God who is love. Furthermore, if that were the case, it would render meaningless Christ's prophetic statement that they hated me without a cause. John chapter 15, verse 25. It is clear that the election of Jacob and rejection of Esau had nothing to do with the salvation or damnation of either individual or of their descendants. For Calvinists to use these passages to that end is simply faulty exegesis. Yet Palmer insists, thus Romans 9 is clear in asserting that both election and preterition, passing over the non-elect, are unconditional. Jacob I loved, but Esau I hated.